Hello, hello, hello. Ah, gotta find my remote. Why? Why is it that I can't? I will never understand why the more technologically advanced TVs have become in terms of like the display they can create and stuff, the more stupid the interfaces become. There was a time long, long ago when there was a dedicated button on the remote to just switch between the different displays, from switch between all your HDMI's and coaxials, and if it had it the RG RQBYYQ LGBT whatever fucking um and I could just switch back and forth. But with this motherfucker, I have to press the home button and bring up menu, and then I have to go over and then go down to connected devices and then scroll over to the. And it's even dumber because it's smart enough that if I turn my PlayStation on, it'll automatically switch the display over to that HDMI, and then when I turn the PlayStation off, it automatically switches it back to my computer. It's smart enough to do that. I think what it is it's AI trying to phase humans out. They don't want us to have much control because they want us to become more and more dependent on them. Whatever. What? Whatever. Mm. Let us attempt. Let us attempt to remember. Okay, I don't know why I I played the game on this system. It said 34 hours down there, so I don't know why I had to accept a thing. Whatever. All right. Expansions, Night Springs. Okay, so we are going to be playing the Night Springs expansion pack today, which came out a million years ago, and I never played it because I had a problem that is not a problem anymore. I've just decided to stop streaming because it's just taking up too much of my time, which I know seems odd because I don't stream that much, but the issue is that the ways it takes up my time is like working on all kinds of little things, like all the little overlays and thingies I try to mess with, and then learning things about streams. And then when I'm streaming, anxiety hits me because one, I feel kind of like weird streaming to an empty thing, which I know like I shouldn't. Like that's like every streamer has to start that way, but I don't know. The fact that I think self-esteem wise, the fact that the only people that really ever pop up are like art bots that I have to deal with every like half an hour is just is frustrating. But anyway, also uh I have back issues, and like laying back and just being a slob and playing a game, that's fine. But like sitting up straight and being in the camera and all that stuff, I gotta like make sure like I'm in a good on a good day. And then there's heat I have to deal with, and then all kinds of shit. So it leads to a situation where something that I've been wanting to play for a long time, I just don't play. And so I decided to stop streaming, and I was going to stop doing YouTube, but I figured this issue is like compounded like tenfold when playing stuff like Elden Ring, like big open sprawling things. Something that's like quick, like most horror games aren't that long. Even like AAA ones tend to not be super long. Um, unless you're The Last of Us 2, in which case you decide to be fucking 8 years long. Well, not really sure. You should call it a horror game. It was less scary than the first one, though, in my opinion. Only standout scary moment I can even remember is when you had to go down into the that medical thing, and anyway. So I'll be recording horror games, but that's the only YouTube thing I'm gonna do, except for a second channel that I have. So let's get into this. Depending on how long these are, I'm either gonna do each of them in one recording or just do all of them together. So let's do number one fan. Of this menu will overwrite your progress in the existing expansion. Sure. I don't have progress in the existing. Whatever. So I know what the I don't really know much of anything about the expansions other than that this one's gonna star the diner lady, and then one's gonna star on Jesse from Control, and then the cop guy. That's pretty much all I know.
What comes across to an outsider as a dangerous obsession.
Oh shit!
Madness is something entirely different.
Forgot to turn my TV down.
To be a fan.
That's another thing that's frustrating is I can't mute my TV because if I do, there's this little mute icon that just won't go away. I have to manually turn it all the way down.
But what if that purpose could be more still? If you could be lifted out of the flock as your idol's chosen one. The only one who could decipher his secret messages. What lengths would you go to save the object of your obsession?
So from what little I remember from the trailer, like I watched the original trailer for the DLC. I haven't watched any other things they put out, but it seems like the idea behind this one, because these are all supposed to be like what if scenarios. I think from what it seemed like is the idea was that like all of her delusions about like how much like he belonged in her life and blah 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 end up coming true or something. That's what I think I remember from the one I saw. But again, the DLC came out months ago, and
a funny thing.
I watched the fucking thing once.
You spend all your time wishing and hoping and dreaming for something, and then bam! Destiny shows up at your door like a mailman with a package you were pretty sure got lost because you ordered it like 6 months ago. But that's okay. When your destiny has eyes like sunsets and a beard like mahogany-colored velvet, you don't really mind how it arrives.
Okay.
But my day didn't start off with all that excitement. It began like any other day did for this waitress/protector of the town of Night Springs.
Yeah, I like that. It seems even if like this is an alternate reality where her delusions like come true or whatever. Which I say delusions, but she actually did end up being kind of helpful in the game. So, like, and it's been a while since. This is what sucks about DLC is like it's hard to remember every detail, but like I don't quite think that her delusions were ever on the level of like that they were meant to be together or something, because like she recognized that like he had a wife and stuff. In fact, I get the feeling that as delusional as she was, if like he had like back then hit on her, she would have fucking slapped him, because she, I guess, as much as she was a huge fan, it seems like she would like be like, why would you fucking cheat on your wife? If you want to leave her for me, then I mean,
Who else wants to top up? Me. Right here, please.
Okay, so
Will do.
okay, looking at the way people are dressed, I mean, this is, you know, given the town they're in, it's hard to tell for certain. Where's the fucking coffee? Okay. But I wonder if this is supposed to like actually take place like in a time of like it's hard to tell because like the diner is designed in a way that looks like Wait, no, $4.99 milkshakes. Okay, this is modern. This is modern. This is modern times.
Another cup. I would.
At least I hope. If it turns out this is like in the 70s and they didn't fix that.
You two are destined for each other. We sure are. Hot coffee.
I heard your fan site for that rider was named best fan site in the world. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Oh my god. This is like she wrote a fucking fanfic and we're just reading it.
Of your genius and grace is wasted serving coffee to us regular Joes and Joanne.
No, wait, it's
I don't.
what it is like, you know, Control was inspired by the SCP Foundation. It's like they've got an SCP similar to the bookshelf, if you're familiar with the bookshelf SCP, if you place a book on it, and then walk through a door, you'll walk into the world of that book. And I always wanted, like, I always thought it'd be funny because, like, they sometimes include like some humor on the SCP site, like. Like there is definitely like some joke SCPs and like bits of humor in it. I always thought it'd be funny if like there was an edit on there with that where it hold on it like someone was being scolded because they wrote like an erotic novel about themselves and placed it on the shelf. And then it says they've been punished by being assigned to SCP redacted. And it's like just like a funny. I always thought it because that I could see like the higher ups, not like the lower people, because they don't really get much like control over it. But like more higher up, like not super higher up, because if you're really high up, you probably could get away with doing this. Stop comparing yourself to me, bitch.
You won't be with that attitude.
I'm not gonna play her mean. No way.
So don't expect someone to bring it to
She may be delusional, but she's a sweetheart.
That's tough, but fair. Thank you for telling me exactly what
Anyway,
No problem.
but like not like super higher ups, like the upper echelon. Like if you've looked into the iceberg of the fucking SCP Foundation, there's some fucking shady people at the top. But like more like middle level people, like I could see like someone who like works like day to day on that one thinking of doing that.
Better put this pot back.
So I always just thought that'd be kind of a funny. And I will say, I burned my thumb. I burned my thumb, and it's like right where it goes on to the analog stick.
I loved being the very successful.
So that's gonna be my excuse
Popular diner.
if I
But that was nothing compared
struggle.
to my grease fire of passion for the writer.
Although it didn't give me a
Literary talent,
option for
and flowing
difficulty.
hair and lips like buttery pie crust. Pie! I need to clear the empty pie plates from the tables. Shucks.
The writer lives just outside town in that mansion of his. Why don't you go talk to him?
Oh, we have our own ways of talking.
I saw in the news that you saved every single kitten from that bear attack. Amazing.
Thanks. Those yoga lessons really paid off.
You know, see, this is one of the, like, I actually have for my second channel a script written called Why Alan Wake 2 Gets Away with Breaking All the Rules. And it's just like a bunch, like talks about a bunch of different things that just really shouldn't work and would not work if a less talented studio did it. Like a story where like this story done by like a lesser studio would come off as super self-indulgent, and the character would just be fucking insufferable. But their writing style just
You're the expert on romance. Any advice?
shave the pubic hair.
But first, tell me everything.
Long story short, She told me I dressed like a divorced gym teacher.
Uh,
But it's what's inside that matters, right?
you need to make an effort.
You still have to put in some effort. If you don't have a jacket with elbow patches, buy one.
Elbow patches.
Yeah, elbow patches.
Got it. Thanks a
Okay,
million.
I wouldn't have picked that if I wouldn't have picked that if I knew she was gonna be so specific to what she likes. I mean, yeah, like, yeah, it's what's inside that matters, but you know, still put effort in.
What can I get you?
Oh,
Man, that's. I haven't been on a date in like 6 years, but I still fucking brush my hair.
Oh, you have got to read the newest book in the Writer's Crime Trilogy.
I have to keep calling him the writer.
I'll grab you a copy from the back.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get you. I'm gonna go get you a copy.
You better not crease any pages.
What we got here? A little studio. Coffee inventory. It's like, obviously, they're gonna reuse some assets. That's like, duh. Am I at all surprised at all on any level whatsoever that she's a furry? No. No, I am not. I am not surprised on any level. Oh, God. Beat poetry night. Beat poetry is that kind of poetry where they just like talk and do this with their hands as they do it. I don't know. I think that's what it is. Basically being the best at like everything. Like seriously, like how self-indulgent this is would be so fucking insufferable if it wasn't for like just like the presentation and the writing and everything. I miss you. Who can do it? Thank you so much for taking my 6 macaws. I know you have your hands full with all the other sick birds at your bird sanctuary. But if anyone can find a cure for their rare bird lupus, yours truly, a young girl who wants to be you someday. Oh, the only thing that hurts more than love is loving again. Love will hurt. Death comes for everyone. That doesn't mean it's painless. Man's life ripped away. He's out to get justice, and the whole city will hurt. I'm curious, like, how they're going to characterize Alan in this. Because, like, they shifted his characterization in the second game, which, like, it doesn't super bother me. It just is like like it doesn't bother me. The change itself doesn't bother me. It's just that it's inconsistent that bothers me. There's stuff that he did in the second game that I don't really think he would ever actually do based on his characterization and personality in the first game. And like just as an example, something that bothers me is like there's that line in Herald of Darkness about, oh, had he seen her drowning, would have saved her from the right. He did. He literally dove in. That's how he got trapped in the dark place in the fucking first place. And then they painted, like, they tried to make, I think like the changes they made, they wanted to be more believable that he could be a villain and that he could do some of those things. And then another thing I didn't like is that they took away a lot. They it's not as much that they retconned it, but they didn't mention certain elements of what his wife had done, where when she, like, again with the song, it's painted as like just a romantic vacation, Whereas she did a lot of really unethical things. She brought his typewriter, even though he said he didn't want to think about writing. And then she made him an appointment with a psychiatrist, which this may seem like, random bitching, but I'll just say that within psychiatry, it is widely considered an extremely big no-no to ever make someone you can push them, tell them, try to get them. You can even tell them, hey, if you don't, work on yourself and see someone about it, then we can't be together. But you never, ever set someone up with a shrink without their consent. That is like one of the, like, I don't want to say like evil or whatever, but like a very unethical thing to do. But at the same time, I feel like maybe it's been 13 years and maybe they didn't realize at the time that that was kind of a no-no and that was kind of a like shitty thing to do. And maybe I feel like maybe the reason they never mentioned those wasn't that they necessarily wanted to retcon the character to make one character look more of a victim or whatever, but just that they realized, okay, these were some things that, like, his wife was a very good person and she wouldn't have done that. So I think that's probably why they changed it. And then the stuff that Alan does, like writing Saga's kid into the story, is stuff that I don't know where this book is. You said you'd get it from the back, but I can't. I mean, it was here that you mentioned that. Oh, I was supposed to.
Your favorite writer whose voice you would recognize in your sleep. I'm in danger. Please, my number one fan. You're the only one who can save me.
Oh my gosh! Don't worry, I'm on my way. My beloved writer was in terrible danger, and I had to rescue him. The stakes had never been higher. Luckily, I kept all my accessories in the diner's kitchen.
I swear to God, if I go to these accessories and it's like a scene out of that, what was that movie with Angelina Jolie and I think Brad Pitt, where it turned out they were both like assassins or whatever, and it's just like these drawers come out and it's just like a wall of like it's like a John Wick thing of just like hidden guns everywhere. Oh God. And it actually fits with her characterization that she's not like scared at what just happened. Like rather she's just like, I'm on the case, like just like instantly, because like that, I think that's how she sees herself, that like if something supernatural happened, she would be like right there to, and I mean, who knows, maybe she would.
My accessories. Everything a girl needed to claim victory in the battle for love.
I didn't think they'd actually fucking do it. I was joking. Oh God.
My bolt-action hunting rifle with a gorgeous walnut stock. Deadly, and looks good doing it. Just like me, my trusty 12-gauge, fully automatic. Extreme circumstances call for extreme shotguns.
Activate shotgun's fully automatic fire mode.
Out on the town with danger.
There
was no time to waste. The shortcut through the boatyard was the fastest way to my writer's mansion in the woods outside town.
I really don't think shotguns have I mean, I know there do exist automatic shotguns. There even exist fully automatic, like they can fire as fast as like a machine gun shotguns, but they do not look like this. But is that meant to be like a thing where like this is stuff that she fantasizes about, but she doesn't really actually know much about guns? So like when she writes about it, like that's something you see a lot with writers, like more inexperienced ones, and some that probably even I've done with my writing, is like something they either think they know enough about or they don't care much about. Like, I got a bit of a gripe that I just want to quickly get off my chest that it pisses me off. You don't have to be into something, that's fine. But Stephen King doesn't like video games. He doesn't give a shit about video games. Like, it's just, well, give a shit is kind of mean. Like, he has just said that it's not something he's interested in, and that's fine. But what annoys me is that I've read interviews and stuff where like he talks about how he like was gonna like write about like a character was gonna have a motorcycle, so he just hung out with some people. Like, he spent a week hanging out with people that like drive motorcycles to just immerse himself in it. Like, in a lot of things, he'll like do deep research. But then when it comes to video games, anytime he's ever mentioned video games, his lack of knowledge really comes out, like, shows. Like, there's one bit in Mr. Mercedes where a character it said that he played a few rounds of Resident Evil. And I'm like, that's an explorative, story-driven, and I know there's no way that he understands what mercenaries mode is. Like that has always been a pet peeve. Okay, so let's. Okay, so we got. Okay, yeah, we got the. Obviously, they would understand that, yeah, he's in danger, and yeah, I'm the only one that can do anything about it. And I think that might be Anger's Remorse playing. There's several songs that poets did under the Old Gods of Asgard name that ended up not actually being used in the game.
Hurry! Go through the boneyard! It's the shortest route! Oops, wrong way.
Yeah, I don't know where the boatyard is. Maybe you could like pointed. I seem to remember a music video where people did a lot of pointing.
This was my moment. My chance to save the writer and make him realize how much he needed me. And if that's not love, I don't know what is.
Like you gotta love it. It like I keep saying, I keep harping on this, but this, kind of story of like having a character that within the canonical story is just like a kind of delusional fan, like being in their head and like all their delusions coming true. That could be kind of annoying and make the character annoying, but just like there's a word. Earnestness, earnestaciousness, earnest P world.
Run the diner while you're gone, or we'll be way worse at it.
Not the boatyard? Okay. Look, I know I just played this game a couple months ago, but like, there's boats fucking everywhere, so give me a break. Gotta save
Leaving
literature.
my old life behind, like a body left to sink in a lake so no one finds it. Nothing would get between me and my future with the writer.
What was that? What was that bit? I was thinking I'd need to go find a key, but obviously, you know, that's not how things work when you're.
Now, who the heck is that?
I'm curious, like how linear this will be. Like, obviously, it won't. Obviously, wouldn't be like as open ended as the main game or anything. But I am wondering if there's any like little side collectible kind of things.
Who are you? And why do you look like a slightly less handsome version of my writer?
Oh, don't you ever compare me to that worthless hack. Sure, I may be his wild and rebellious estranged twin brother, but we can't all be perfect.
Mr. Scratch
No idea
is his twin brother.
To think there were two of him all this time.
After today, there won't be. No more writer, no more books, no more living in his shadow.
Through the events of the game, perhaps during the brief time that you spent there at where she worked at the or she helped out at the old folks home, and like, you know, things she's probably heard from Odin and Tor, it makes sense that she'd maybe be aware of the possibility of Mr. Scratch's existence, and this is how she would visualize it, that it's an evil twin brother.
But you're his brother. I'm sure you two can talk it out and realize you have so much in common, and after you change, you can move in together. And I'll come over with popcorn for movie nights.
He had his chance for popcorn and movie night.
She wants some
for
wake
himself.
spit roasting.
Too bad. You know what they say? If you can't join him, beat him.
What did you do to him?
I locked Mr. Fancy Pants up somewhere you'll never find him.
You won't get away with this. I'll stop you.
Babe, I got an army of people that hate that hack almost as much as I do. They're ready to die if it stops him from writing another crappy book. What do you got?
I have a shotgun.
Well, I got a... Wait, that's a real shotgun? Okay, I admit that's I didn't expect that. You can't stop all of us.
Only a monster could be blind to the poignance of my writer's books. There's only one way to deal with monsters. I ate my spinach this morning, so don't mess with me. Don't get between me and my writer.
Oh boy. Numerous typos. Oh man. What's okay? I couldn't remember what the dodge button is.
I don't like it being stupid. What should it feel like?
All right.
Whoops! Gotta put more bullets in.
Whoops. Gotta put.
My writer's jerky twin had him locked up somewhere. A sweet, helpless prince locked in a tower. But his fan in shining armor was on One of those haters had made a hole in the fence for me.
Is this like a like people will just show up if you linger around too long or something? Like I mean I wouldn't necessarily mind if this was meant to be like kind of linear, like almost Doom like, just like fucking get to it kind of thing. Why? Okay, wait. What kind of pills did I take? Because I took one and then she started giggling. I think I might not have taken the kind of pills I thought I was taking. Oh. Oh my god. I gotta tell you something. I was looking over here. I just saw this this thing of lotion. And let me tell you something. I gotta tell you a story. I've learned the hard way that women find it hard to believe that a man would use lotion. Now, let me qualify some parts of that sentence. Found out the hard way. I mean, I'm not really sure what other way to find out. And I'm not generalizing women. There was 3 women in this conversation, and that's definitely not like a sample size for any kind of scientific study. But and the thoughts that are probably entering your mind right now with the word man and lotion in the same sentence, you're getting ahead of me and you don't realize it. So, I use lotion and have for a long time. It was actually because of Bill Burr. He has a stand-up comedy bit about lotion. And after that, I just, gave it a try and started using it. I found out that it did fix a lot of the issues that I did not realize had been caused by unmoisturized skin. And I was at the store and this woman says, "Why do you smell like cocoa butter?" And I'm like, I think that's the scent of the lotion I use. Because although I do use lotion, I'm not like thoughtful enough about it to really think much about the scent, because I think the reason I don't worry much about the scent as I would when like choosing deodorant or something is because it's not something I'm using like right before I go out to so I'm not really thinking much about the scent. I'm more like caring about like the moisturizing and like the long-term benefits. And I'm like, it's lotion I use, and they were all like just giving me this weird look, and I'm like, what? And they're like, one of them kind of called me out, was like, "Do you really think that's an appropriate thing to say?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "You could have just made something out. You don't need to tell us about your special time." And I'm like, I wasn't using it for that. And they didn't believe me. I was like, I put it on like once a day to moisturize and shit. And they literally did not believe me. And it's like, I'm not even mad about it, because I just like with the Bill Burr bit, I get that's not something most men really think much about. To quote Bill Burr from his bit, "Men, have you ever wondered why your dick still looks brand new, but the rest of you is starting to look like an aging pirate? You need to increase the circumference of the lotion distribution." So I'm sorry. I'm sorry to go off on that tangent. I was just over there at the table, and it made me think about that. That only happened like I think 4 days ago when I went to the store. I mean, I do. I'm not going to claim I don't use lotion for that as well.
Had left tracks in the mud. I recognized the tread pattern immediately, thanks to my famously keen perception.
Yeah, yep.
The tracks would lead me right to my rider and his kidnapper.
Yeah, I recognized the tread pattern
from my writer's books, solving the case with my wits. All I needed now was an unlimited supply of black coffee and crippling emotional trauma caused by the untimely death of my spouse.
Oh man. So I'm thinking one of a few things is going to happen. It's either going to turn out that there is no evil brother, and that's just him, like like playing like a role to get away with murder or something. But like to get into like how I have 317 bullets for my shotgun. I don't think I used more than 300 bullets in the entirety of the first of the main game for my shotgun. Uh, so yeah, I definitely am meant to like play this more like Doom-like, which is cool. I mean, I hope it's not like that for all the DLCs because I do like the more precision, like popping off headshots kind of gameplay. But
More haters.
another thing that they're like totally nailing yeah, another thing that they're like totally nailing is like the fine line of someone who has clearly read certain types of books, but like I don't think it like is an insult that she doesn't understand, like, because like there's books that I've read that I like for certain reasons and other elements I might not care that much about, so I'm not going to like deep dive into understanding every intricacy of those elements. I mean, like my favorite book of all time, House of Leaves. All the talk about like the documentary and like the filming of it and stuff. I'm like, uh, I'm interested in filmmaking in terms of like special effects, and I like to like learn about like techniques for filmography. But the actual inner workings of cameras and like the technology and stuff is not something I care much about. So seeing like bits where they're like talking about the characters and their supplies and stuff, like I'm gonna gloss over a sentence about that. You know what I'm saying? But saying things like I recognize the tread pattern. The fact that I'm already like fully stocked up kind of shows that I'm definitely meant to kind of go guns blazing. How do you ever get published?
Me and my writer.
Okay, I thought that was a cave I could explore. This isn't Skyrim, you fucking idiot.
Why hadn't my writer ever told me he had a semi-evil twin brother? He must be waiting until our third or fourth date, surrounded by candles, so he could reveal this vulnerable chapter from the dramatic story of his emotionally troubled past. Oh, that man has more layers than a croissant.
He's like an ogre. Oh man. Okay, just for my own paranoia. I'm gonna pop
couldn't let these
over to the
continue
PC
to
for a
plague my
second.
dear writer with their negativity. I would treat them the same way I'd treat trolls on my
Okay, yeah.
fan site. But this time,
Everything seems to be
I was
fine.
banning them from life.
Banning them from life. Yep. I hate how washed out everything looks in the recording. And I think it's because I've got HDR on, and which coming through the recording obviously isn't gonna catch that. But I think that like when you have HDR on and then you've adjusted your settings for that without it on, those same settings can kind of wash things out. Which I realize I could maybe go into like the settings for OBS or whatever and like maybe apply some filters that could like up the contrast and stuff so that like I can enjoy my HDR, because this is the first TV I've ever owned that has a HDR, and after years of like hearing about it and not giving much thought, I gotta admit it is like, it's not like a game changer, but it is kind of cool. Like there have been times I've been watching movies on this TV or playing games and stuff that I otherwise would have like the thing I'd always heard about was like the everything just got really quiet for a second. The thing I'd always heard about was like it makes it easier to see like the details in darker scenes. One way I tested it out was I brought up on YouTube and made sure that like I had the settings switched to like 4K HDR, whatever. The that one scene from Hereditary, which I love that movie. Did not give two shits for Midsummer, but then again, that was for personal reasons. Uh, which it does suck. I'm not going to get into it because I'm not here to trauma dump, but it does suck when you have personal traumas that can get in the way of enjoying something you otherwise would enjoy. And like I would never ever tell someone to get over it, because I would never tell myself to get over it. Um, you know, there's a difference between working through traumas and getting over it. Uh, but like it definitely does suck when like something that you otherwise like is good and you enjoy, there's like a detail that just like, you know, that I mean that's why they call them triggers, because it triggers it like it what happens is it's like, you know, like the stereotypical kind of Vietnam flashback kind of cliche of like, you know, it doesn't matter how long it's been, that trigger happens and it's like you're right there back at the exact moment that the traumatic thing happened, and it sucks. Anyway, there's a scene in Hereditary where there's some creepy shit going on, but it's really hard to see. And like, I think I read that like they intentionally made it pretty much impossible to see it on a first watch, so that it wouldn't be until people were like really examining the movie and going like frame by frame and paying attention that they would pick up on those certain details. Um, but when I watched it on the HDR TV, it was a lot easier to see those details. So yeah. Um. Anyway, all the tears of the angels in heaven were falling over this city. She wore the rain like a funeral shroud. She was in a sad state, this city of mine, but she was still mine, the filthy prison I called home. I was here for a reason, Joe Bullets Capone. He was inside drinking champagne, and throwing around his dirty money while I stood in the rain smoking a soggy cigarette. But that didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was I knew Bullets had a bad night coming his way, and he had no clue. He made me wait for it, though. My pack of cigarettes was long gone by the time Bullets staggered out of the back door. I detached myself from the shadows, stepped up right beside that pathetic excuse for a man. Long time, Joe. Oh, dear God. Okay. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind doing a lot of reading in games. I mean, I know a lot of people do. I remember when I released my game, that was one of the main complaints. Like, people really fucking would lose their shit after more than like a minute of reading. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Have you ever played like an old RPG? Like, like I would love to see one of them motherfuckers try to play like fucking Planescape Torment or something. Anyway, Bullets looked up, his booze-soaked grin twisted into something less friendly. You. He reached for the pistol under his jacket, a six-shooter with slugs big as my cigarette stubs. Cigarettes aren't that big. In fact, I'm not a bullet expert, but a lot of bullets are thicker than cigarettes. Unless, like, I guess the stubs smush them up, and I don't know. I'd done my homework. He barely had the piece out of his holster before I was on him. Wrestled it out of his hands, tossed it behind a dumpster. Bullets didn't like that. I forgot for a second that the guy's name was Bullets, and I thought he was talking about the bullets in the gun being sad that they weren't going to get to be used. Oh, and now like that's going to be in my head, and I'm not going to be able to rest until I some way work into a story, a mention of a weapon having a personality of its own. Wait, I did write a story like that. I wrote a story a long time ago when I was a kid. Or not a kid, but like a teenager, late teens, early 20s. And there was a character that had a sword called Renvault, and it was actually possessed by the ghost of the sword's former owner, and it had this power. I'm not going to get into why it had this power, because that would just be basically telling you the whole history of this character. But it had a power to claim the weapons of anyone it defeated. And so the person could like swing it, and like a bunch of daggers would come flying out, or like a big mace would come swinging out. And this is how like cliche of a writer I am. Like you want my to realize how much I have in common with this character. I was like really big into Bleach at the time, and I still am since it's came back, and that's so cool. Loving the 1,000-Year Blood War. But I wanted to kind of have a character that had a bunkai. And so I just did it like that, like that's isn't that like one of the most cliche like not, it wasn't a fanfic, it was an original story, but like cliche like writer thing to do for an inexperienced writer is to just like be so shameless in how they include something that they like. And what her bunkai was like, you won't understand why it's like this unless you've seen Bleach, but there was a scene near the end of the book where she says, "Spill forth, Renvault," and that's exactly how the sword, the Shikai's worked, where they would say a phrase and then say the name of the sword. That's how it works in Bleach. And what happened was she dropped it, and it stabbed into the ground, and then created a fissure that kind of like ran across the room and then opened up, and basically the souls of everyone the sword had defeated climbed out and like claimed their weapons, and it created an army, which I mean is a cool scene in and of itself, but like how like shameless I was, and like how obviously I was creating a Bleach sword. Anyway, gave me one right in the gut. Wind rushed out of my lungs like a soul leaving a body. Through my wheezing, I could make out the slap of boots against the water. Bullets was legging it. I had to get after him. Couldn't lose him. Not when I was so close. He had info I needed. The address of the last stop for this train called Revenge. So I sucked in whatever air I could and took off after him. Through the twisting maze of alleyways. 2 rats, but only 1 cheese. I pulled out my revolver. I was playing for keeps. Don't make Don't make this hard, Joe. I caught up to him as he was dropping down the other side of a chain link fence. He sneered like teeth like rows of gray tombstone. I turned into fucking Jimmy from fucking South Park. He thought he was escaping. He thought he was safe. My body slammed against the fence like a bird. You know, you have a revolver and the fence is whatever. Like a bird against a window. I clutched the thin metal, scrambled over it, the jagged ends of wire ripping through my sleeves of my... What jagged ends? It's a chain link fence. What jagged ends? Unless it's got barbed wire at the top. I've climbed fences before. There's a fence in my backyard that has a dent in it. And that dent exists because the street I live on is a no outlet, which just in case terminology is different, like in maybe other parts of the world, is the kind of road where one end is a dead end. There's a house right there that is like at the end of the road. So you can only enter that from that way. So you have to go, I'd say, it's not super long. You have to go, I'd say, maybe 1/5 of a mile that way. And then turn onto a little road that goes that way. And then you can turn onto the main road that goes all the way that way. And then down that way, and then a few more turns later is where I went to high school. And so when I'd come home, you know, I hated walking. I wasn't, you know, exactly the most physically fit person. I mean, I wasn't a fat ass like I am now, but by the time I got here, I could literally look over that fence and see my house. I want to walk so sometimes I would just hop the fence. And like years of doing that eventually caused like it to bend down, and eventually the owner came out and told me to stop fucking doing that. Anyway, the pain was welcome. We got more. I dropped down in the alley and ran like a panther. At every blind corner, I expected a trash can lid to the face. None came. Maybe bullets. Boo, boo. I went from sounding like fucking Jimmy to going through puberty again. Maybe bullets hadn't liked what he saw in my eyes as I climbed that fence. I bet he wasn't smiling now. Then I had him. A trapped rat trying and failing to wrench a locked door off its hinges. I leveled my gun at him. You know what I want, Joe? Bullets let go of the door handle. Hands up. You know, one thing that's interesting is like little writing tip. If you have a character that has like a nickname, or like one character like talks, like you want to like consider how different characters would talk to them. Like I have a character in one of my book series. His name is Thomas Groon, which Groon is just it was kind of working backwards from what I wanted to do with him. I have a nickname that one of his friends gave him and uses, and then I had to come up with a last name that kind of fit it. And maybe if I ever publish it, I'll revisit that and try to find a last name that actually kind of fits. But his friend calls him Tommy Gun. And then usually just Tommy for short. And yeah, I know that there is a last name Gunn, like the Guardians of the Galaxy director guy. But I wouldn't want it to be that on the nose. And so in dialogue, the character calls him Tommy, and then I have some characters that would always refer to him as Thomas. And then but in non-dialogue narration, I always refer to him as Thomas because that's his name. Now this isn't like a hard or fast rule, like you don't have to do this, but I'm just saying like you should always think about like what name a character should be called in narration. And then what name like people will call them and stuff. And the reason I brought that up is I find it interesting that the guy, it was pointed out that the guy's nickname was Bullets, or I think it was his nickname. I don't think it was like his last name or something. Joe Bullets Capone. And I find it interesting that he's referring to him as Bullets during all the narration, but calling him Joe during the dialogue. And that seems kind of backwards. Like, you'd think that if that's his nickname, that's what people would call him, but you'd use his actual name during narration. But at the same time, that can still work if it's intentional. Which again, this is just a small writing thing. Like, it's not like super important. But if it's intentional, it can work because it could show that the narrator, which a lot of people don't really realize this, but there's different types of narration. Like, there's first person narration, there's third person, but like there's also third person omniscient, which is a really hard style to write in. But basically what it means is like, okay, so first person narration or first person point of view in a book would be like if there was a line that said, I walked up to the door and knocked. Hey, is anyone in there? Third person would be he walked up to the door and knocked. Hey, is there anyone in there? Third person omniscient would be more like he walked up to the door and knocked. On the other side, the person listened intently as he heard what is there. Basically, when you're writing, even if it's not first person POV, where like the narration uses I and me and stuff, you still kind of want to stick to like having one character be like kind of the POV of the story, which you can switch POVs within different chapters based on like kind of who like the chapter is really about, but you still want to stick to one character having the POV because it can be jarring. Now that this people are a little kind of pushy about this rule. Like, I had an editor like that was helping out with one of my books once, just like someone who I knew who was a professional author. I am friends with a professional published author. I mean, we haven't talked in like 2 years, but that's because I deleted my Facebook. But she had a New York Times bestseller. So that was cool. But anyway, she helped me with some of my writing, and is one of the main reasons I even still bother trying to write, because someone who was successful gave compliments to my writing, so I know that there's something there. There's something worth salvaging there. Anyway, she told me that there was a part where I should remove a line because it broke POV, and like I got it, I understood, but at the same time, I feel like with writing, how do I put this? I think it's interesting that language has evolved for so long through so many different languages, and then even looking at just English has evolved for so long, and went through so many different like ways of writing and ways of prose and ways of punctuation and ways of, and then all of a sudden like 150 years ago, a bunch of old white dudes came up with a bunch of rules, and now we just have to live by that. And like it's language just is not allowed to ever evolve again. And it's like, why? As long as you understand, as long as it's easily understandable what's being said. Like what it was is there was a scene where it was from one character's POV, But then another character, it said he stood up, got dizzy, and sat back down. And they said, since it's not from their POV, the readership wouldn't know that he got dizzy. So they told me to change the line to say that he stood up, looked like he got dizzy, so that it's still from the POV of the main character. And it's like, yeah, okay, but like, is that really the fucking end of the world that POV changed for one fucking line? Like, um, another one that like is really big to me, like I really think is fucking annoying, is the whole "don't end a sentence with a preposition" thing. Like, I get why that rule exists because of what prepositions are supposed to do in the first place, but most examples of a sentence ending in a preposition, I think that instead of making a big deal out of that rule, it should just be like kind of except, like, the whole I before E except after C, or A is a neighbor and way, blah blah blah. There should be like an exception where, like, if the target of the preposition, I know target isn't the right word, the word that a preposition is prepositioning, I forget what it's called, subject maybe, um like in, uh uh you wouldn't want to end a sentence with in, because in is supposed to target the thing that it's in. And yeah, I get why that rule exists and why prepositions exist, but language has evolved, and its prepositions have taken on a new life where uh having the preposition be in and of itself, and the target of it either be earlier in the sentence, or something that is inferred or implied. You see, I'm not that stupid. I do know the difference between infer and imply. Um, imply is what you do. Infer is what the person you did it to does. um, but like, I don't know. What's funny is I started this talking about how I wasn't going to stream anymore and it was going to save me time. And I'm still just fucking rambling. But look, I'll say this one more time because I've said it in different videos. But like one thing I always worried about was, like, especially like with my friend David, is that like I'll say something in one video and he won't see it because maybe it's like a game that he's playing. Like I did a whole series of all of God of War Ragnarok. I know he hasn't watched that because he probably intends to. I don't know if he wants to play God of War Ragnarok. He seemed to enjoy the first one, but I don't know if like he did say that he was going to get it when it was cheap. But like I assume that like after he's played it, he might go back and like watch through those. Which in that case, I apologize. There's one particular episode that was recorded before I had a medical diagnosis for my back issues, and so I didn't have any meds for it. And there was a day that I was recording that my back was just killing me, which this actually kind of plays into what I was talking about. Um, uh, and I was just getting so frustrated by like the deaths and stuff, which was my fault because I had it on a hard difficulty. Um, but it caused me to just kind of blow up at one point, which I felt bad about. But at the same time, I know my friend has back issues too, so he definitely understands what pain can do to you. But anyway, I would always worry that like I would like say something in one video, and then like in the next one, it would be chronologically the next one I recorded, but it might be a different game I was playing, and so I would reference something I said in the last recording, like I'd like continue a story I was telling or continue a thought, but like that one is like a game that he either doesn't intend to play. I say he because I'm just talking about my friend, but like just generally any viewer, um, like they'll watch it, but what the fuck is he talking about? That's always been something that like gets on like makes me nervous and stuff. Is like trying to remember like, okay, this thing I talked about. Did I mention it? Did I mention it? Did I mention it? Um, but yeah. Anyway, the thing I've mentioned a few times that I'll mention one more time is that I think because I don't get out much due to my medical issues, and I don't have a lot of friends. I don't talk to people much, and I'm trying to change that. Um, there's actually a club that I'm planning on joining. Um, but like I think that when I get recording, even though like I'm talking to an audience that isn't really technically there, it just I get in ramble mode because like as a human I have this, everyone has like a desire regardless of if you're an introvert or an extrovert. And I'm an introvert, but you still kind of have this desire to like have conversations and stuff. And like since I think like once I start talking for like a let's play, it just kind of like all that held back talking, that like there's times that I will go a week without saying a single word out of my mouth because I don't go out much and I didn't interact with people, and that's bad for your health. That is really bad for your mental health. So I think that's why I tend to go on all these tangents and stuff. Anyway, all I was getting at was that it's interesting that his nickname is used in narration, but his real name is used in dialogue. You'd think it'd be the other way around, but it could show that whoever this is respectful enough not to like is like respectful enough to even to his enemy call them by their name, but then with narration inside his head is thinking in terms of their nickname. So it can work. But I just thought like this just I noticed that and it just made me want to give like a little bit of a writing lesson that like someone's name and like what nicknames or what like name would be used in narration should go like in like for instance if you have a book that has many characters, and now that like I explained how within each chapter or at least each section of a chapter you want to have a single POV, you would even want to perhaps take into account whose POV you're in during narration, not just dialogue. During narration, what would even thinking and like like what well to be clear, narration isn't the same as thinking. Usually, you italicize thoughts, like something a thing that a person is actively thinking is different from you narrating that someone's thinking about something. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. That you have to understand. I've read on writing. I've read elements of style. I've read several books by famous authors about writing, and I've studied a lot of it because I want to be a writer. And I've written like 8 novels. Um, let's see here. 7 novels that are fully written, although I'd say only like 3 of them are in states that I would even remotely feel comfortable publishing without doing a few more run throughs for like check for issues, and then like 5 others that are in various states of like anything from like half done to just like a few paragraphs of an idea in a notepad. So I mean, I like writing. Uh, anyway, bullets let go of the door handle. Hands up, hands as up as they'd go, beseeching a higher power not to cast him down. Come on, man, ain't gonna bring your wife back. Can't hurt to try. Talk. Yeah, sure thing, sure. Bullets lunged for his ankles. A crack of lightning from my hand, and he was down in the gutter, clutching his belly. crack of lightning from my hand. I like that. I like that. I like that. There's a that actually reminds me of a line that I created that I'm pretty proud of, and the only reason I'm talking about it is because I doubt. I mean, I don't want to say doubt. That's too harsh on myself. I don't know if I'll ever like actually publish any of my stuff, but there's a character that's has an abusive ex, and he slaps her, and the way I described it was, and I think that this is like when I am looking over the book to, because it's not finished, like it's all storyboarded, like I know how it's going to end, and like I have like every chapter planned out. I haven't finished writing it, but when I look at it, I think it's pretty clever that I wrote this way, but maybe it's just stupid, who knows. um but the way I described it was lightning or thunder clapped from a stormless sky out the window to her left, but instead of looking at it, she immediately looked to her right. And that's how I described getting slapped and it knocking your head that way. I think it's a nice little clever bit of writing. Personally. um Walked over, calm as snow. I stood over him, watched his putrid blood mingle with the rivers of rainwater. You talk, I call an ambulance. Oh, okay. I forgot that the guys that our protagonist still had his gun because I remembered it when getting thrown behind a dumpster and the bullets being sad about it. And so I forgot. Okay, now I remember why I didn't think my character had, or I say my character, our protagonist had his gun, because I remember thinking it was weird that he didn't, try shooting at him through the chain link fence. I found that weird, and I guess that caused a dissonance in my head to think that he didn't have a gun. The crack of lightning was the fucking gun. I thought it was a way of him saying he fucking karate chopped him or something. But I'll say that's like 40% the writing's fault and 60% my fault. I'm mainly the stupid one here, but I do think it's still a little weird that he didn't at least try to fire a shot at the guy, because like the way it was written, it seemed like he was right up at the fence as the other guy was climbing over it. You'd think it'd been easy to like try to shoot him in his leg from it. Anyway, his words were having a hard time getting through the pain. You're insane, man, insane. I raised my gun level with his eyes. Try again. Okay. You want the big man, yeah? I know where you can find him. Blood pounded in my ears like war drums. All the killing, the sleepless nights, the booze, the countless cigarettes I smoked while ghosts swirled around me. It was all for this. The drums got louder. Bullets caught his breath, straining against the pain. Then he spilled his guts. My number one fan. If I don't make it, then I just want you to know that, no, I can't say it. Curse my cripplingly sensitive artistic nature. See, this is why we read. How many people, what percentage of people that played this DLC got to this, saw how long this one was, and that then there was another one really long. It was like, okay, it's just a bit from the story, whatever, I'm going to move on, and didn't get to this bit. Huh? I left the alley, told a waiter on the curb that a guy had been shot. Didn't care what he did with that information. I had what I needed. Oh, man. Remember when I said, depending on how long the episodes are, will determine if I do them individually? I think when you count all my rambling...
The motorcycle tracks ended at a cabin. Was my rider inside?
Hello? Isn't anyone gonna rescue this poor little rider? Hello? Is anybody there? I'm just a frail rider and I require aid.
He's
You know what's funny is sorry, her dress was like glitching out for a second there. What's funny is I can't tell, and maybe this is intentional, not being able to tell, but aw. No wetness. Come on, we had games fucking a billion years ago that I still remember the first time I played, like God, what was the first game where a character got wet like to the level of how deep in the water it was? I want to say it was a Tomb Raider game. Although maybe that's just sticking out in my mind for how much time I spent looking at said wetness for no particular reason. Maybe it was the first Uncharted. I know that did it. But then again, graphical fidelity and realism in those kind of areas aren't necessarily something that a game has to have. But anyway, what I was saying was, I think it's funny that due to the way this is written, fuck. Oh. Sorry, I get these cricks in my neck sometimes that. It due to the nature of the writing, you can't tell, and I don't know if this is intentional, but even if it's unintentional, I think it's funny that you can't tell if that's his evil brother making fun of him. Okay, there is something on this beach that if you look at there, something glitching in. Which, yeah, there's some glitches. Which, Remedy isn't as big a studio as some people seem to think. So I can forgive them some graphical glitches. You know what's sad is they still haven't made their money back. Like, they still have not, to this day, turned a profit on how much it cost to make this game versus how much they made. And there's varying reasons. There's some really stupid reasons that some YouTubers have come up with, but I think it's a combination of they pumped a lot of money into it because they're passionate about it, and then also they didn't do a physical release until recently, and I think that hampered it big time. But anyway, you can't tell if it's the evil brother calling out, pretending to be him in like a joke, but like not pretending to be him to actually trick her, but just like as a way of making fun of him, or if that's actually him through the lens of like her deluded, like he's so brooding, but in this moment he's so vulnerable. Like I love that, even if it's not intentional. I love that the writing has managed to create that like unsureness. Even though like everything so far has shown that this DLC is like pretty linear, I still find myself in like check behind everything mode. Now, if you're wondering, I know you're not, but if you're wondering why I'm playing this instead of continuing with Dead Space, which, you know, I did like 2 recordings of that, 2 streams of that, and then I put it down because of, like I said, the issue with streaming. You'd think I'd jump back into that and get through that before doing this, but it's just, this is something I've been dying to fucking play, and it's not going to be all that super long. Like, I'm Yeah, I'm intending to get through these DLCs tonight.
I'm here! I've come to save you!
Oh, joy! We can finally be together and sit through beat poetry readings and drink $18 cocktails and have high tea with the queen.
Wait a minute. My writer only drinks coffee. 2 sugars, no milk. I keep all the mugs.
Okay, no more tricks. I'll be waiting upstairs.
Muscles don't cry, they sweat. Life is not unlike a hot. So, like I said, due to the way it's written, you can't tell. And it turned out it was both. I said you couldn't tell if it was him. The one thing that I said it wasn't, like him actually trying to trick her, the one thing that I said it wasn't is what it turned out to be. And that makes it even funnier that like within this deluded fucking world, I imagine if you've ever played Oblivion, you know, the annoying fan, I imagine this is how like they see their like relationship with you. So it turned out that he was trying to trick her and that it was working until a clue in like what she like. Oh man. I love it. I love it. You you have like I mean it's nice that like they at least have the touch of like the particle effects reflect what you shot.
Running
But
with wolves seems like a dangerous hobby.
becoming the alpha, everything you need to know to lead your wolf pack like a true alpha. Is Mr. Scratch an incel? That is like that is like the most hilarious like characterization. Like, granted, like me saying that like this is Mr. Scratch, like I don't think that's actually supposed to be it. I think this is just supposed to be like the evil side of him seen through her lens. But that is great. Because yeah, he definitely does like the way he is in this so far definitely does seem like the like Andrew Tate type of yeah.
I guess writing doesn't run in the family.
Brothers, the moon can only shine when the sun is gone. The night can only come when the day is done. Can the sea ever meet the ocean? Can the sea and a sea is just a smaller bit of the ocean. And wow, that like making intentionally bad writing that seems authentically bad is not as easy as it would seem. Um, and yet at the same time, as much as she insulted it, and it is crappy, it is some good characterization that as much as she is there a flashlight? Oh, I am on normal. Kind of annoying that it didn't give me the option to select oh, they finally added a photo mode. Cool. Kind of sucks that they didn't give me that option when I started, but controls. flashlight. Circle. She does not have a flashlight. All right. I would up the difficulty, but no, since I'm this far in, and I imagine with this kind of gameplay, it wouldn't really matter. Well, you know what? Fuck it. Actually, thinking about the way the gameplay is working in this, it would not, I don't think it'd make it harder. It would just make the enemies more bullet spongy. And given that that's the style that this is going for, it would just make it boring.
I was never upstairs. I lied when I said there were no more tricks.
Ooh, you're starting to peeve me off, mister. Where is my writer?
I'm just having a little fun. Let's chat down at the beach. It's just out the back.
First, he kidnaps my writer. Then he calls him a tea drinker. He had crossed the line. I was going to go to that beach and give this jerk the scolding of a lifetime.
The tea drinking thing is worse. Torture ideas for Hack Brother. Car batteries, solid potential. Pulling fingernails, too messy. The bell. Where do I get a bell? Blunt spoon, nice and simple. Dismantle typewriters. A+ psychological damage. You know, actually,
The twin said he was down at the
actually, within this storyline, that I will say would actually be the best idea. And I'm actually surprised that this character would come up with it, given how stupid he seems to be. But like, well, dismantling actually, because that would be too obvious. But like, if you messed with the typewriter, like messed with it in a way so that like one or two of the letters didn't hit all the time, especially since typewriters are kind of permanent. I mean, like you can get like whiteout and stuff, but like if you messed with it just a little so that like it made like like some of the buttons stick or some of the keys stick occasionally, that would actually be like a kind of clever, like, I mean, not something that you would do to someone that you're intending on kidnapping and killing, but like someone that you are annoyed with and you want to fuck with. I would, you know.
I have to get down to that beach and get my writer back.
Not this beach, this beach. I wonder how much stuff like that I've missed. Like writing on stuff. I'm loving it. I'm loving that. What if like she meets like the real Alan and it turns out she's already met him. Says she's been on 2 dates. But like it turns out he's like shitty, but then it turns out this brooding one has like a soft side or something, which I doubt, considering you read stuff about like alphas and stuff, but that'd be like kind of a funny like because like the cliche of like the girl falling in love with the bad boy is something that's in a lot of like, you know, crappy fiction, especially if you're the kind of author who is a pedophile and not afraid to hide it because you know that no one will get mad at you because no one gets mad at pedophiles when they're women. Sorry, I got a bit of a bugbear about that. I'm not going to name who it is, but there's a woman who, as an adult, wrote an erotic with like sex and stuff, fan fiction about a singer who was underage at the time, and nobody has a problem with it. After the fan fiction got successful and like a lot of people liked it, she turned it into a book, changing like the names and like removing enough of the elements that made it clearly about that character, or I mean about that person. And it became so successful that they made a series of movies about it. And and that just disgusts me so fucking much because one, I don't want to make it seem like this is the only reason because like I don't want it to seem like I want to be able to do this, but like one, try to imagine a world where I write something about like a teenage fucking Ariana Grande or whatever, and with the level of like eroticism in that, and people don't fucking crucify me. But not just that, like just in general, the fact that people, even people that know about it, like I get there's probably a lot of people that aren't aware, but even people that know just don't see it as a big deal. And it just,
Hey, me and my bike were just enjoying the view.
Where is my writer?
What do you even see in that crybaby? He's boring, he dresses like a nerd,
Hush your mouth! He is a stylish intellectual who is in touch with his feelings.
You're starting to cramp my style, babe. And I'm not telling you where he is.
You are going to tell me where he is, or else.
Or else what, babe?
yeah, she wouldn't be, I will scold you.
You asked for it. You are rude, you have no manners, your too cool to care attitude is attractive initially, but drives people away after they realize you're emotionally incapable of letting your walls down to reveal that you are a vulnerable human being just like everybody else. You are trying way too hard with that outfit.
No, stop! I don't like being seen! Listen, I never had your precious writer. I was just keeping you distracted while my army of haters storms his mansion. Now the love of your life is doomed. Doomed!
He tricked me. Even with my famously keen perception. Hold on. I need to fill my gun up. I had to get to my writer's mansion as fast as my chunky kitten heels would take me.
I don't know why, but every now and then, that's too loud. Every now and then I see like some text appear, like there's a button prompt. I don't know if there's like some kind of execution you can do. That was weird. It was like she was like trapped in a reload animation.
Very rude.
Like, am I crazy? Are you seeing this?
Fresh out of bullets.
Every now and then, some text appears that looks almost like a button prompt.
My gun's hungry. Oopsies. Can't forget the bullets.
I do find it funny that the rifle reloads at a realistically pace, but this shotgun is just like boom, 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 boom.
Right.
I
Hello?
knew you, my #1 fan, would never fall victim to my twisted brother's lies. His hatred for me is as inexplicable as the sunrise, and just as fiery. But I knew your heart would never waver. You're the only one who can save me. I believe in you.
Like, seriously, I know I keep harping on, but it cannot be understated how
My
difficult.
writer believed in me. We were kindred spirits.
Listen to all
We
the
fit together
writers'
like the bicycle chain
messages.
and that spiky wheel thing the chain fits into. We were connected by love and destiny.
That
He was meant to be mine, always and forever. There was no time to lose. I was the only one who could save the writer and the very soul of literature from these evil haters. The fate of all
You know what's
art
funny?
rested on my shoulders.
Getting a trophy for that when there was like
Stakes had
3
never been
and they were all part of the story would be kind of dumb in like the main game, but fits with the DLC. But what I was saying is it cannot be understated how difficult it is. And now now I'm not talking from experience. I've never written a character like this. So,
I have to
I
get
mean,
back
I do
to
have one
before they
character in one of my
single
stories that
ugly
kind of
hair on
fangirls over this famous guy, but that's only like for like one scene, and then like it's just like a little bit. Um, but yeah, I've never really written a character like this, but like it really, I do think that it is a challenge, would be a challenge, because I've seen other characters like this in stories, and hell, I've met people like this in real life, and they're fucking infuriating. And to write a character like that, but have them be so endearing, is
my
just
writer's head.
love it. You know, I broke my Lucille. You know that? Look at this. I broke it. You know how I broke it? It fell on my head and it broke. Uh, Now, granted, I have it hanging up here by nails, which probably didn't help the situation because I can't really think of another way to like. I could have originally. I was gonna get like a bit of string and hang it from the nail and then wrap it around it, but I didn't want the string to be obvious and like you could see it. I just wanted it to be like up there. Um, and I mean,
Stop
I've
your
had this.
dilly-dallying. My
Shut
writer
up.
is in danger.
I've had this thing for like 10 years, so uh, like it's been moved around and in like different positions, and it's been knocked over before. So, and it is just like a cheap plastic thing that was like $30, but I think the fact that it broke by falling on my head just makes me laugh because of obvious reasons. Um, Although, is it bad that I didn't really care when Glenn died? I don't know, spoiler for something that happened a billion years ago. And here's the thing: Glenn was one of my favorite characters, but the reason I say I didn't care when he died is how many fucking fake outs they did. First, they had that mid-season fake out where you thought he was dead, and then it turned out he crawled up under a dumpster. And the funny thing is, I had a conversation on Facebook with someone who insisted that he was dead. And I was like, well, probably not, because you didn't see it. Like a lot of times, like they would like if they are going to kill a character, they're going to actively make sure you see it. The only so that either means that he found a way to survive, and I even mentioned crawling up under the dumpster as a possibility. Um, or they're going to have him like seeing him zombified as like a reveal. Uh, um, and the person was like, "Nope, nope, he's dead. You're an idiot." I get in arguments with the weirdest people. But it's like the old saying goes, never argue with an idiot because they will drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. But then in the actual death scene, they had that fake out with the other character, and it's like, oh, it turns out they're going to kill someone else. Then it's finally like, okay, we fucked around enough. Let's finally do it the way that it does it in the comics. It was like by then I was like, I don't care. I mean, and Negan's great. Like Negan is single-handedly the only thing that kept me and a lot of people going through those later seasons. And that's just Jeffrey Dean Morgan being Jeffrey Dean Morgan. But like, I just by then I was just like, okay, you have faked this out so many times, and you know damn well that you faked it out because people know it's coming, and it's like I don't whatever. Which like I'm not like bothered. Like I wasn't bothered by like them killing another character because it's like that's fine. People who get really pissy about things straying from the comics, on one hand, you need to realize that like both creatively and practically it makes sense. Like creatively, it's like if they want to go in a different direction, not everything has to line up perfectly with the comics, you know. If it like I've never understood people that want an adaptation of something that's just one-to-one, scene for scene. It's like, doesn't that seem kind of boring? That's why I love The Shining, the movie and the book. I think the book is way better, and I particularly despise Stanley Kubrick's treating of Shelley Duvall. Just to put it out there, if you're not aware, he viciously abused and mistreated her during the production of that movie, specifically in order to put her in a bad state of mind so that her performance would be more realistic. And he should be in jail for that, in my opinion. Like, there should be repercussions. I just think that's a vile, evil thing to do. Like, method acting, that's fine, but you don't fucking force that on someone. But also, what a lot of people don't understand is that, like, when you're adapting something, like when you're writing, you know, you can kill off whoever you want. You can kill off a fan favorite character. Hell, you can do it just because it annoys you that the fans won't shut up about them. You can do whatever you want, but with a show production, there's other things that can come into play. Like, there can be an actor that's like, I'm not going to renew my contract because I've, you know, my role here is kind of small, but I've got an offer for something bigger, and you know, this is my career. I'm not going to stick with a show for years where I've got a small role when I've got a chance at something bigger here. You know, that kind of thing happens. And then sometimes a character has, like, an actor has like a disagreement. You know, this I doubt it's intentional, but this really reminds me of the lead up to the house from Resident Evil 7. But yeah, sometimes an actor like has disagreements with like the directors and stuff, and they leave and they kill off the character for that reason. No, it happens. Like that happened with Dale.
If I have to stop you myself, I will. Unlike him, I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty.
I have no idea. Why are you shooting hearts at me? Okay.
Should have known, but that won't stop me.
He's a werewolf. Yep. I can't. My motorcycle is also a werewolf. And I don't know if you saw. Let's use the lovely photo mode. It's turned into a. Oh, hold on. Can I how close can I get? Nah. Come on. That always annoys me. Let me get closer. Whenever a game has a photo mode, or even if it doesn't, I always like to try to get as close my camera as close to characters as possible because um uh uh material like textures. I blanked on the word for some reason. Textures for like clothing material is always something that's just like I've liked in games, and I've liked seeing like it like be more creative and be more. And it's sad how many games have like insanely realistic art styles, but then if you zoom in close enough to the material, it like is really low res, just because they don't expect the camera to ever to get close enough. But it annoys me when a let me check the where is yeah, I have no idea what the fucking f stop is, but um okay, at least you can fucking switch between free and orbital. I have no idea why so many photo modes in games force the orbital style. I don't know if that's like a technical limitation, like they can only do a camera mode by having it like, you know, that's just, yeah, there's no way to zoom. Change the field of view. Wait, what's Alice? Oh, that's okay. That is cool. That is fucking cool that you can take pictures that look like the pictures she took. That is a nice touch. I like that. I like that. But anyway, I like being able to like get really close and see like the fine details of like clothing textures. Even though I've talked about this before, but I was doing that once. I can't even fucking remember the game, but I was doing that once in some game that I was streaming, and someone in chat was like, "Why are you trying to look up their dress?" I'm like, "Oh fuck," because like it was one of those situations where my actual reasons for going into photo mode and doing like being like all like this are valid. Like people who know me have known that like I've talked about that a lot in the past, like in clothing textures. But yeah, that does seem like what I was trying to do. And I remember I was like, I know you're not going to believe me because yeah, it did look like that's what I was trying to do. But I was just trying to look at the clothing textures. I like checking out how detailed clothing textures are. Anyway. it just turned back into the, like, it's not even broken or anything.
You got no choice. Oopsies. Can't forget the bullets.
My brother's not a werewolf, in case that wasn't clear. Like, I love this. I love, it's so clear what they're, you know, spoofing, and like that they're so self-aware. Like, there's being self-aware, and then there's like being self-aware of the self-aware. Like there's different levels to it, and like it's just like just how meta they can get, and just still just be so.
Go ahead. Finish me off.
Okay. It won't let me.
I'm not going to kill you. You're my darling writer's brother.
You really do love him, huh? I guess I never even had a chance. I was just jealous of his talent, his money, his velvety hair. But mostly, that he's got the love of somebody as amazing as you.
Oh, you silly werewolf. You could have all those things too. You just need to stop wanting to be him and start wanting to be you.
Your words have shown me that it wasn't my brother I hated. It was myself.
I love that it's touching on themes and like storylines that terrible fucking stories like this tend to do,
I intend.
but with so much fucking self-awareness. I love it.
Oh, hold on. I need to throw my gun up. Someone order a reckoning?
Did I just juggle her? I just juggled her like Devil May Cry. That was awesome. I mean, I get that it was just the animation glitching up against the table. That was still kind of cool. A Stephen King knockoff. There it was again. Oh shit. Oh shit. I didn't realize you were a like heavy type enemy that can. For contributions to art and artistry across the globe, the recipient is hereby recognized as Champion of Literature. That has to be a play on Champion of Light, who embodies all the spiritual and physical qualities valued in one, pursues the art of writing. Something about that sentence messes me up in my head. I don't know why. Dearest brother, news reached me that your journey across Europe has taken a turn for the worse. I was utterly and completely devastated to hear you have been afflicted with a serious case of lycanthropy while riding your motorcycle through the Nordics. I know we haven't spoken in years, but please know that my thoughts are always with you. My dear monozygothic sibling. Please contact me upon your return to America. Until then, I hope this card finds you well on your way to speedy recovery. Dearest regards, your brother. P.S. Due to your road-bound lifestyle, I do not know where to send this card. I have written this message as a symbol of my fraternal love and shall leave it upon my mantle in hopes that you will one day really... And yes, in case you're curious, I'm not picking my nose for boogies. I've got a fucking hair that's been fucking me up, and I've got some nose hair trimmers around here somewhere. I just gotta find them. You know what? 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 Okay, that should help for a little. There was just one stray one that was just fucking going haywire. But yes, I do realize that this is the old folks' home being reused. That's fine. I don't think. I think anyone that would complain about that is like, come on. If anything, it actually kind of fits with the character that like if like we're supposed to imagine that this is all like a fanfic that she wrote, it does kind of fit with the character that when describing his mansion, you know, she's never been in a mansion. She only knows what she's seen in movies. So the layout, she just like used something she knows. Donuts! 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 Did I do that? Yes, I did. Okay, wait. Why is it you got such... What? Dude. Like... Am I the one that finds it weird that there was such, like, detailed, like, destructibility of that? And earlier I shot a TV and it was just like, yeah, whatever. You shoot a window, it's like, yeah, whatever. But when it comes to tables...
And there he was. After all the fighting, we were finally alone.
He's fucking covered in blood.
Our love was written in the stars. And so we danced like two spinning planets that would eventually crash into each other in a dazzling display of flames and rocks and other planet stuff. He told me all the sweet things I'd been waiting a lifetime to hear. I saw myself reflected in his eyes. I would always be at his side. to inspire and protect him. He needed me, now and forever. After all, I am his #1 fan.
A fan and the object of her joy come together against a world trying to keep them apart. A happy ending for some. But is happiness, like beauty, all in the eye of the beholder? Where is the line between fandom and fixation? One can never tell in Night Springs.
Dude. I forgot that they use, it completely slipped my mind that they use like music and stuff in this. Oh, this was written for the game. I need to find this song. I've got most of the music from the main game. I'm digging this. One thing I love is that this was so silly and yet they played it straight. And what I mean by that is they didn't feel like the need to like have some, like I was so certain that after the kiss and the close in, it was gonna pan out to like a scene of her like, you know, typing and it's like, and then like someone's like, there's an order up, and she's like, okay, I was just working on my fanfic. Like, it would be so easy to like, you know, try to qualify it like that, but just like just let it happen, let it be. Loved it. All right. I'm gonna end this here. I was gonna say that I'll go ahead and do the next two in the same video just because there was a lot of parts of me like talking about stuff, but as I think about it, there will most likely be that in the next ones as well, so whatever. All right, that was the first of the expansions. That was fucking great. Can't wait to do the next one. Check it out. I'll be uploading these back to back anyway.